What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Cookout, episode 8, man. We were rolling through these things. It's your
Rolling,
boy
rolling,
Coop
rolling.
here, and I got the first lady with me, Amani. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's your weekend?
I'm chilling. I'm coming to y'all live from Brooklyn, New York. Chilling hard.
Awesome, and special guest today, Mark and Ebony. What's going on? Good to see y'all again.
What's up? How y'all doing?
Good. Thank y'all for agreeing to join us last minute. It was a little last minute request that I had, but
I'm loving the topics we're gonna have.
awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these discussions. Amani, what about you? Ready to get into it?
Oh, as always, I got a little spicy hot take for y'all, or maybe we'll see. We might have some agreements. But
Hold on. Well, one second. Lou will be joining us later. He's coming.
Yes.
He's got some prior obligations. But he will make it. And JBM will be joining us later too as well. So we'll have a full show, but we needed some people. So we got Mark and Ebony. All right. Sorry to cut you off.
It's cool. Kanar and Gabriella, welcome.
What's going on?
Right at 8:00 at the dot. We see you. And they're both on Central Time.
On the spot.
Okay.
They made it at 7:00 their time. Thank y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We love to see it.
as y'all know, I like to argue. And so I have a thought, and I want to share it with y'all today. I want to know what superhero causes the most property damage. Whenever I'm watching a show, I just can't help but, a film, I can't help but think about like, yo, they just knocked the whole building over. Like they're not really thinking about, the infrastructure and how the city is gonna recover from this. Like they're just toppling whole cities and nobody's saying anything about that. So I want to know, like, who do y'all think causes the most property damage?
Yeah, that's a good one. So when you say superheroes, right? Would you count Transformers?
I was thinking that when I created the concept because
my God.
Although that was
really
Decepticons though.
Hey, Ma. Yeah, they blew up a lot of stuff.
They blew up a dam, like the Hoover Dam.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're just now joining us, Amani, repeat the question. What's the question at the top of the hour?
What superhero causes the most property damage?
I have my answer.
Hit me.
The Hulk.
That was my first thought.
Every single
That's
time.
like a no-brainer though.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a no-brainer.
but it got to be one of the Avengers though. Because come on, didn't they blow up like a whole country or
I mean, that's debatable because that was the villain. They just happened. I think they were putting the ultimatum.
That's true.
They had to evacuate all the people off of the little because you're talking about Age of Ultron when he lifted like the city.
Let it blow up.
Yeah. They evacuated everybody allegedly, and then they were like, then the Russo brothers were like, nah, bro.
Yeah, there's no way they could evacuate all of them because they were pulling people one by one.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I think Transformers is way up there.
My issue with that is it's not really the Transformers, the Autobots, so much as it is the Decepticons. And I was thinking about heroes. We expect villains to do a lot of destruction.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they have a lot of collateral.
But the Decepticons, like, they are intentionally destroying cities. Like the Autobots are not trying to do so.
Time out. Never mind. I'll take that back. It's definitely Goku. He tries to take people out the city, but my God, anytime they get into a fight over a city, bro, like the punches be wiping out stuff. Like, and do we count Godzilla as a hero?
No, he's not a hero.
How is Godzilla not a hero? Because he would be the one.
He definitely about that.
He would be the one.
Although
the
big dragon thing definitely threw him into a building.
That's what I'm saying. The whole they destroyed San Francisco. Like that, they were taking stuff out. Like they took out the whole East Coast.
And I've said this several times on camera, but there was no way they evacuated Boston in time to.
They were dead. They were toast. And then the U.S.
in that scene.
Then they nuke them. They nuked Boston.
He nuked Boston. They nuked the bottom of the ocean to make him strong, and then he
came out with super nuke.
Right. And
he about there like, yeah.
I love that movie.
Hey, Gabrielle, no, he
Yes,
does not. Consistently destroying the same city that somehow gets rebuilt
They have a lot of money in Metropolis.
Hey, is that a justification? They still got poor people.
I'm just saying they build it up.
Gabriella, that's exactly what I was thinking about when I said all anime.
Yeah,
One Punch Man, they literally level, and there's so many cities, they name them after letters. They don't care about people so much. They just destroy city A one episode and city C the next.
Yeah, I think I would say that's tough. That's tough because you have to pick it. Yeah. I mean, do you count anti-heroes in this?
Kinda, I guess. Honestly, I wasn't thinking anime, so that kind of threw me off because I was really going to say Iron Man. This man made bombs for a living. Like on top of him creating Ultron, everything that Ultron did, all of that is Tony's fault.
Iron Man's great.
I blame all of Ultron's destruction on Tony, and his bad decision making is all his fault.
So you would even with this being said, you still gonna pick Iron Man over Batman?
I don't think Batman causes more.
He doesn't.
He does not
at all. So how is Iron Man a better superhero than Batman?
When it comes to I need my life saved, I'm picking the one that can fly and shoot stuff. I'm not picking the one that needs wires and stuff and needs to worry about his stamina.
They're not really.
They're both
powers,
suits.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, but we already know one suit is better. And here's the thing.
Okay. But who got a better belt?
No, he doesn't have anything but the belt. That's it. If that's all you got,
oh my god, I almost spit my coffee out.
All he has is the belt.
Oh god. Oh man.
No,
hey, Amadi, tell me what that's a double entendre too. Based off that story. He told me earlier this week. Oh man, that's hilarious.
I'm in a better place now.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right.
Coach belts.
But my pick is the Hulk.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with the Hulk. We're sticking with
he has no control.
True superhero.
What he does, he destroys.
I would pick
because they really like choose him to destroy stuff. They like Hulk smash go.
I guess you could. I mean, honestly, you could argue Silver Surfer too, because when he was working for Galacticus, he let him destroy. Like part of the agreement to save his home world, he let Galacticus destroy worlds.
The only thing that
Silver Surfer is a hero, so like
he wasn't really a hero when he was doing that.
I mean, you could argue. I mean, he was more like that's why I said anti-hero, because at that point in his life, he would be more considered an anti-hero because he wasn't out to save the galaxy or the universe. He was just trying to save his own homeworld. So he did it. That was the ultimatum. He's like, I'd rather him destroy every other planet than mine.
Also, I think I should make a disclaimer because I think I have caused a lot of Batman hate since the show started, and I want to be very clear. I don't like Iron Man either. I just think Batman is worse.
Bro.
I even think Batman has, Bruce Wayne has better morals than Tony Stark. So,
of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think they're both trash human beings, just one versus the other.
But we want the superhero that's less moral.
No,
how does that make it make sense?
Win in a fight. That's all I said. I didn't say which one is going to save the world better. I said who's going to lose in the fight, who's going to win.
I want the one with morals to win.
Flying and shooting.
Okay, the one with morals ain't strong enough. All he got is a belt. Mark,
bro, that man's smart. He's smarter than Tony.
The belt has everything.
What?
And he's more cunning.
Hold on.
Yes, sir. He's smarter than Tony.
And he got a bat cave.
Mark, you get him because I can't.
He got a bat cave.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you.
Wait, you think he's smarter?
Yeah, Batman? I think he's smarter. I think he's more clever than Iron Man. I'll say, never mind. I'll stay clever.
Batman
he's more clever.
Loses. Like, he always find a way.
First of all,
you can't be stupid. That's what I'm saying. He's clever. He's clever.
He can make his own stuff.
He's clever.
Superman's the worst superhero to me because he has no weakness, really. He has one weakness, and it's on a whole other planet. So really, no one should beat him on Earth, but somehow all the villains got his weakness in their back pocket.
Yeah, somehow they keep finding kryptonite. It's just abundant in the galaxy.
That's only in one planet in the galaxy, and somehow everybody has access to it.
Bro, this man has
Batman beat him. He don't have.
He did beat Superman.
The strongest superhero.
Beat him
ever. Because Superman is the strongest superhero ever.
That doesn't make any sense.
Everybody agrees with that, right?
I mean, but it happened.
Nafisa. Okay, so he's my least favorite. Like out of all of them, he's at the bottom.
Superman?
That makes no sense.
Batman. No, her question was.
I mean, yeah, Superman definitely at the bottom.
Even worse than Superman. Superman is like an indestructible superhero.
Yeah, they got.
His purpose.
He's so boring.
Listen,
he really is never in danger.
Bro, they got kryptonite on sale at Target right now.
I'm screaming.
Right now, you can go buy one get one free.
Other than that kryptonite, and that doesn't even really kill him. It just makes him weaker. So you can.
But listen. He's got allergies. Okay, he's allergic to his home planet. This is your champion. This man can't even. If you took him back home, he'd be like fragile.
A regular person. Yeah.
Just be frail on the ground, coughing and wheezing. Like, man, you're useless. Useless, man. If you ground it up and just blew it in his face, he'd be done.
But that's why I think Batman is smarter, because he took out Superman.
Bro, he formed the Justice League. He didn't form the Justice League until he knew how to take out everybody on the Justice League.
Y'all are wrong.
The dude is clever. Iron Man had to get permission to join.
Iron Man is too confident. That kind of blinds his judgment a lot.
Bro, yeah, no, he's arrogant. He's arrogant.
Batman's never too confident.
I said Iron Man is arrogant.
Yeah, Batman is always depressed.
He's calculative. He's
always thinking like the worst is gonna happen.
He's prepared for the worst. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Like he's always prepared for the worst case scenario.
No problem. When it comes,
you don't know what you really don't know what Iron Man's prepared for. You just know he's got a high yield weapon that's gonna blow something up.
A lot of stuff.
Also, if you believe in affirmations, technically Batman is causing his own problems by saying he's unprepared, but that's neither here nor there. He's speaking nonsense into existence. That's all on that.
Who's the hero, anti-hero that could not? I don't know. I see this question. My dad just put in a question. Who is a hero or anti-hero who could not open his mouth without causing a lot of damage? That sounds familiar. I don't know what is he talking about? Like what's that? What's the X-Men with the sonic power? Isn't it Sonic or something like Sonic? Like they had like a Sonic scream or something.
And used it to fly Banshee.
Banshee, yeah. Is that who he's talking about?
Oh no, what's Canary, Black Canary?
Oh yeah, she can do it too. They both have the same heroes. DC and Marvel, they have the same exact heroes. They have these same exact heroes.
It's all about who does it first.
And like a lot of the writers, some of the writers.
Some of the artists, the artists do work for a lot for both DC and Marvel. So like, especially in the golden and silver age.
Over. So y'all need a Superman? Here's Captain Marvel.
Hey, can you create us our version of Superman? Yeah, there you go.
I want to see them fight. That would be a good
Superman and Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel probably win because
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't know, because Superman try to find the moral high ground. We ain't got time for that shit. Like I don't like
that's not fun.
Yeah, like he's gonna have a philosophical debate with Captain Marvel, and I'm gonna get bored. Like they wouldn't even fight. Like I think they would have discussion. Yeah, they have to have a discussion.
Does Superman have I would say that him and Captain Marvel are close as far as emotional capability, no? Like Superman
dwells so much with humans.
I would say, I was about to say, like,
because he grew up as a
Captain Marvel is like she's a hero for the galaxy, and
she's kind of over all the human bitterness and stuff.
Yeah,
in it.
She's got some like Dr. Manhattan in her, where she's like, yeah, these humans, we'll get to them later.
Yeah, Superman's all in it. He's always falling in love and stuff like that.
And man, hey, if you guys are watching right now, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That helps us out tremendously. Keep commenting, man. We want to hear from you guys. See, there's a lot of people in the chat right now.
Thank y'all for watching too.
Yeah, y'all got any more y'all want to add?
I think since we've talked about DC so much, we should get into the DC fandom.
We could do that. Did y'all who all had a chance to check that out? Anybody in the chats watch DC fandom today? Catch anything? They had some really good panels, man.
I saw some of the clips online, like the trailers and stuff. I didn't hear the panels.
Is this the first year that they did this?
I think so.
Because I don't remember DC doing anything of this to this caliber. Like what's good, Heem? Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining.
I saw the trailers for a lot of the movies and games, but
yeah, Wonder Woman looks really good.
Wonder Woman looks great. That's probably the only film that I've never worried about. Even before I saw a trailer and I just knew what was happening, I knew that Patty and everybody over there would make a really good decision. Like that film was going to be good before I saw the trailer. Oops, sorry y'all, hit my mic. And now it's everything that I thought it would be. Cheetah.
They moved the release date back.
Huh?
Did they put? I don't think they didn't announce a release date for it.
It was supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out this summer, and then COVID said, "Nah, player."
So they moved to 2021, right?
Did they say 2021?
They didn't give a year for that one. The only film that I saw they give a year for was
the Snyder
Suicide Squad 2. It's definitely coming out 2021, but I mean, I don't believe that because people think COVID is going to be miraculously gone. But they said
I'm gonna tell you,
2021.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I feel like they're going to wait to see how Mulan and Black Widow fare on Disney Plus with that format of them selling those $30 tickets on the streaming service to get access to the movie. Well, if that model is successful, I guarantee you that DC will release Wonder Woman 1984 on HBO Max and have a similar format and probably try to undercut Marvel on the price.
Right now it's scheduled for October 2nd of this year. But it's just a schedule. It doesn't say it's going to come out.
And I said this in the Discord earlier today. I said, like, if they do this, they're going to give it a fall release date because that's a safe date. That gives them time to analyze how Mulan and Black Widow fare on Disney Plus. And then once they get those numbers back, then they'll make a decision whether or not to just hold it for a theatrical release. But if the numbers are good, then they'll release it on HBO Max. Promise you. That's what they're going to do.
Yep. Right now it's scheduled for October 2nd, but it just says scheduled. I think it was supposed to come out in July, but they moved it back. So
yeah, I can see that. And then, we don't know. We don't know how the rest of the year is going to turn out with this virus. We just don't know.
We'll see how Tenet does too.
Yeah, I was just about to see that. Yeah. So on that topic, yeah, Tenet looks really good. I've been sold on Tenet since the first teaser trailer. I think I saw in the theater. I saw it. I was like, "Yep, I'm sold. I'm all in. I'm all in."
I don't think I have to be sold on Christopher Nolan films anymore. I just go watch them.
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever this is, I know I'm going to enjoy it because the way he tells stories keeps me captivated.
Did y'all see Dunkirk?
Yes, loved it.
I didn't see it.
I loved it. I saw it in theaters. That was a great movie. Just watching the theater, bro. The suspense, because like. All right, so historical dramas are always interesting for me, especially when I know like the event, and then to watch it unfold the way he can still build suspense into the story is great because like he tells it from the standpoint as if you were a soldier on the ground waiting for rescue. So like that's what maintains that level of suspense, and then the sound engineering I think was like phenomenal for the film. It doesn't get a lot of people don't talk about it. But I thought watching it in the theaters, the way the sounds of like the plane engines and the different vehicles and things that were off in the distance that were coming, that were approaching, the way they engineered sounds in that movie helped with the suspense. Like, and then the music, yeah, it was phenomenal. Like that's what would give you chills. That would keep you on the edge of your seat because like it made you feel like you were there on the beach waiting with those soldiers.
The only negative thing I can say about Christopher Nolan's films is you're gonna be sitting there for a while.
I have no problem with that though. Like if you take your time and tell me a story, I'm good.
Like his films need intermissions.
I'm sorry?
I said his films need intermissions.
They're not
Two
that
of my
long.
favorite films are Inception and Interstellar.
Like 3 hours.
Interstellar was amazing.
I love it. I love it.
To get back on topic, they played a sneak peek of this, and it looked amazing.
You dropped out
And
there.
I was not happy with the Justice League film. And what bothers me a lot is like they definitely made a lot of changes, but as far as like the body of the film was there. So why even put out some crap when all you had to do was just edit what already had to give us what we wanted? Why did we have to go through all of this in the first place?
Are you talking about the Zack Snyder cut?
Yes, like you get to see more of Flash and a little bit more of his background. You get to see more history behind Cyborg, which they kind of just threw him in. We didn't even get to see him, go through his process. You got to see more of Aquaman.
I enjoyed that film though.
Joining us is Lou. Lou, welcome, sir. Good to see you.
Welcome back. I didn't hate the film. Like, superhero films are always fun to watch, but no, I did hate the film. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. So
about, the Snyder cut, and I was saying I didn't like the original Justice League film, and they played a sneak peek of the Snyder cut at DC Fandom today, and it looks amazing. And I don't understand why we couldn't get that to begin with.
The only thing that I didn't like about the original was it felt rushed, but I enjoyed all the scenes. Like there was no scene I was like I disliked.
Oh, they did a horrible job editing.
Like rushed. Like Cyborg had no backstory.
Yeah. So for what I heard is that in the Snyder cut, even before the movie hit theaters, what I heard was that Zack Snyder focused. Cyborg was almost like the center point of the story, like from what I understand. Like from what he cut and what he directed, Cyborg was like almost a central character, and he was very important to everything that transpires. Like he was a key central character, and then in the Whedon cut, like he's basically not even there at all. And then I think he and I think the Flash also have very important roles in the original Snyder cut. Like these are just the rumors that I've heard, and then based on that trailer, it seems to affirm a lot of those rumors that Cyborg seems to be front and center. He seems to be integral to the story. Flash looks like he's got a lot more to do in the film, and then Steppenwolf looked absolutely amazing. Like what a step up from what we saw in that original cut.
The Justice League film came out before or after the first Wonder Woman film?
Before.
So
I think it was before.
Steppenwolf, and was it Hades that was in her film? I thought they looked really similar. And
it was Ares.
It was Ares.
One of them gods. I was happy that they made him look a lot different. He looked. Can I cuss on here?
PG-13. So you got 1, 2. You got one F-bomb. We collectively have one F-bomb.
All right. He looked badass.
There you
that's
go.
the best way to describe what he looked like today. I was hyped, and he was even a little scary.
Like, I used to know what the swear limit was.
Is that us? Is that it?
Whose mic is that? Is that mine? Is that mine? Nope, it's not mine.
Not mine.
I'm muted.
Oh, yeah, it's Lou.
What'd you say, Lou?
That's good.
What was going on with my mic?
You got some static. We got some static in the background right now.
I don't hear it anymore.
It's there, but it's
really
a lot
light.
lower than it was 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. 2 seconds ago, it sounded like, those aerosol sprays that people had. It's just all of a sudden they just randomly spray. You like having a casual conversation. You like, the hell?
Yeah,
What the hell?
I love those.
Why? Like, I don't understand what people like them. Hey yo, have you ever been watching like a scary movie and one of them things goes off, yo? Like it boy.
All the time.
There's no reason why they should be in a house
No,
That in your house.
it just be so loud
I
too,
love
bro.
it.
That thing is so rude. Like they just pick the most inopportune times to spray. Like
Mark says he gets sprayed in the face with
All the time. All the time.
How
You
many
got
of them
money
are
in
open the house?
fridge. So every time I pass the fridge, it goes off. I'm like, is this motion censored? She's like, no.
Those things will scare the crap out of you every time.
yeah, I don't like them. I personally, I'm like it's too much. I prefer the liquid ones that you plug into the wall, even though they die pretty quickly. But just as long as they don't make noise, I don't need you to be loud. I just need you to smell good. Like I don't need all that extra.
I don't know
Anyway,
if it's a thing, but candles are fire now. Like I did not care about candles 3 years ago. Now, like I can't. If I see candles, I'm buying one.
yeah, no, see. I only do candles in the wintertime. I can't do it because, like, to me, it's a fire and it's hot outside. It's like 98 degrees every day here. So
But
I
that is why
little
you can
flame
get
is gonna
candle
be hot.
melts. You can get candle melts or candle tarts that are flameless. You just put them in warmers. I actually started making those.
She sells them too.
we need a link. We need a link. Oh, speaking of links, I'm gonna put a link in to Gumroad so you guys can go pre-order the issue featuring Lou's article. It's in the chat now. Lou, you want to talk about that a little bit in between while we're doing a little segue for the people?
Yeah.
Once again.
So if you like Lovecraft Country, I'm pretty sure you're really going to think my article is on the whole issues on this comic. I'm excited that the first article I published is titled White
Got some
Black Rage. Like you can't tell me. Oh, my mic's too far down?
Yeah, your mic's too far or something.
Yeah, I turned the game too far down to overcompensate for the static. That good?
It's better. Chat, what do y'all think? Is he coming through clear?
I don't hear him very well.
Let me know what sounds good. Yeah.
Check.
Yo.
Not yet.
Mic check.
It's like
Oh.
Check.
okay, there we go.
It was set to that built-in mic, not my actual mic. Okay, I'm back now.
All right, well let's drop the gain a little bit. A little bit. A little bit. Let's back that down a little bit.
All right.
A little bit.
All
right, now we
technical
good.
errors solved.
Yes, sir. We're good
All
now.
right.
We're good now.
Yeah, I'm hype about this. This is my first published article in Panel by Panel, and it's titled White Hate and Black Rage. So after this point, you can't tell me not to write anything. If you liked Lovecraft Country, I think the things that the comic this issue is on, Bitter Root, does a lot of the same things. So if you don't necessarily read Bitter Root, you can see some very similar points made to the type of horror Lovecraft Country tells. So I talk about H.P. Lovecraft and how cosmic horror doesn't work the same way for Black people because there's very real things we're afraid of, and we don't need to make up a monster to know fear. I talk about James Baldwin and Black Rage and how those two ideas are personified as two different monsters in the comic book. It's a cool read. The layout is awesome because the layout sort of like breaks the article into chapters. And the whole magazine is only $3, so you get to read my article plus more articles and have this wider discussion on what it is that is created in regards to Black horror and then what happens to horror space in this specific comic book.
And it's still up for pre-order, and it drops tomorrow.
Wednesday. It drops tomorrow for subscribers, but then that's like $250 a month forever. If you just buy in this issue, which is that link is for just this issue, it drops Wednesday.
Gotcha. We are very hyped about that.
Yep.
Yes,
I've
we'll be there.
pre-ordered mine. I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
I am ready, man. Congratulations once again. And we're gonna review Lovecraft Country in a minute. We're actually 30 minutes into the show. So real quick, DC fandom, any hot takes, anything else, any other panels that you found interesting you guys want to talk about?
They did a panel with all of the translators for Batman in different countries, from all the way from like Lego Batman to the Nolan trilogy. And I just thought it was really dope to see all these different men who play Batman all over the world.
Yeah.
That was really nice to see. And Batman in Hindi, that hits different than English.
Batman.
Hey.
Christopher Nolan's Batman sounded serious. No, Hindi Batman sounds serious. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Need to see that.
Hey, Batman had like 7 panels to himself. Like it was wild. It was wild, man. It was wild. I even thought that was a bit excessive.
I want to love Batman, and I want Batman to have great films, and I have not loved him since the Snyder trilogy. Like
Snyder. Nolan
trilogy. My bad.
Hey man, put some respect on Nolan. No,
my bad.
Snyder.
Nolan, right.
What?
My bad, on a first name basis in my head. I don't like this. Well, I'll say this. I think Ben Affleck was casted well, but I think the movies were bad. I don't think it was necessarily his acting. It was the writing of the films that made me angry. So I don't like that. And then also the fact that there are like 4 different Batman projects being worked on at the same exact time and none of them are connected doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Bat comic books kind of work the same way too. Like they know it's their cash cow, so they're gonna keep feeding it.
And they got different like universes and stuff.
I think,
but yeah, I got a ton of Batman fatigue myself, so
I don't think I would be tired if they were producing quality content. It's almost like let's race to see who could put their Batman film out first.
I'm tired of Bruce Wayne. Period. Like,
Yep, I agree.
Rich dude, and I also read comics, Mark. So there's like over 500 issues worth of Batman that I've read.
They got a lot.
Yeah, and like it's very stagnant in a world that's ever changing. So like, billionaire who decided he was going to wake up in the middle of the night and punch bad guys doesn't hit the same way in 2020 that it hit in the 1940s. And yeah, and I'm like, Bruce Wayne should have gave this mantle up a long time ago. But comics has that weird contradiction where like people keep buying, the same people who keep buying are buying, and then like they also don't reproduce back issues enough where you're like, hey, if you want Bruce Wayne, here's more than 700 issues worth of Bruce Wayne that you can just go pick up from a bookstore, because they don't reproduce crap, which is dumb. And
yeah,
that would make me feel better. It's a rated R Batman film. If you give me a rated R Batman film and it's really rated R and he is like jacking people up,
but you could do Nightwing or Red Hood, or it was
DBS rated R?
It was close. That was a
tried to make it rated R.
That was like a PG-17.
Barely. It was just dark. Literally in lighting, it was just dark.
See, here's the thing. Like for me, Ben Affleck has the physicality of Batman from the comics, but I think that the movies those weren't written well.
Yeah, I think Zack Snyder, which is why I'm not excited for the Snyder cut. I think Zack Snyder is an aesthetic director. He produces an aesthetic really well. As for his storytelling, is very iffy. And the fact that he's getting a second chance like this is super bizarre. And unless I hear it's actually the greatest thing ever put on a screen, I don't know if I'm gonna touch it.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna hear that. You're not gonna hear that. That's not gonna happen. I feel like the only part of it that I'm okay with as far as him doing his own cut is because the version that he put together, I think they cut like 60% or set like 60 or 70% of what he shot originally, and then Whedon came in and did his own thing, and then they tried to mash everything together. So it was just a cluster of madness. Like it that should have never came out. That was an abomination. They tried to Frankenstein a movie, and I feel like they should have either stuck to Whedon's vision and put that out in its complete form, or stuck with Snyder's. So now, like, let's see if Zack Snyder's film is better, and if it's solid, then point proven. DC can do whatever they want from there. But like, if it comes out and it's mediocre, or it's just the same quality content as the Whedon cut, then people just need to let it go.
Did y'all see the trailer for Suicide Squad?
Yes, that looked action packed, and it looked like a Michael Bay film.
I loved it.
Didn't see the trailer, but I saw the little like making of clip, and
Yeah, that's basically that's what he's talking about.
oh, okay. They
Yeah.
hyped it up, saying like it's one of the greatest action films of all time. And
Bruh, they said that there's more special effects in that film than all of the MCU films combined. That there's no story in that movie.
Well,
It
they have
can't
a
be.
character
You
that's
can't
a
put that
shark.
much SFX in a film and there still be a story. It's no way.
They have a shark
it just
as a
needs to
character.
be better than
So
the
it
first.
has to happen.
Just please.
There's
People
just
watched
they're
John Wick
just
and all
gonna
it
be
was is they stole his cat.
His
John Wick stole a cat, got his cat stolen. They made a whole movie out of that. Somebody gonna watch it. Not saying it's gonna be me, but like, there's an audience.
Lou hates John Wick more than I dislike Batman. I'm telling y'all.
I don't like John Wick.
I don't. So like, I have to be in a very specific mood to watch John Wick. Like, I'm not going to say it's a good movie, but if I want to see
I tried.
Keanu
What movie is
Reeves
that? I've
kick
never
butt
filmed
for
it.
like 3 hours, I can do that. But like, no, I'm not gonna walk out of there and be like, that was the great ever.
I tried watching it.
I see what it is.
watched
Wouldn't spend money on it, but
I
Yeah.
watched John Wick recently, and the first one, and like there was some stuff in there that you probably didn't pick up the first time. Like that dog, she had the dog pre-trained. I don't know if y'all peeped, but there was a scene the morning after he got her. He went to go pick up the mail, and she ran out the house, and she used the bathroom. She knew this little puppy knew not to go in the house. That to me is a big deal as a dog owner, and just how much I love my puppy. Like, nah, if somebody came up in my house and killed Chewy, everybody got to go.
That made the movie.
I just so for me, it is that, and it's like it's just that fact that she did all of that, and that was her last gift to him. And then because he's an assassin, it's not like he's the cleanest dude in the world. So some punk comes in, and then decides to kill the dog. I'm like, hey, bro, whatever happens to you at this point, man, you deserve all of that. Because for me, it was like, they could have did whatever they had to, as long as they didn't touch the dog. That made sense to me. Like, he didn't care. Like, they robbed him, they beat him up, they destroyed the whole house. He didn't care. It was when they killed the dog because of what the dog represented is when he went off. And I understand that. I can rock with that.
The movies felt so long, but the action scenes were nice. But I couldn't follow the plot. Like, after a while, I just don't care.
I mean,
It's revenge. Like, that's all.
That
Hey,
was
bro.
it. And
Yeah,
it was
it's simple.
on his head because the guy who killed his dog, his father was a bigwig, and his father put money on John's head. So people were trying to take out John, not realizing he's the
Bro, his son, the dad was ready to let his son die just to get everything back to in order.
When I made that
Like,
John Wick
you
comparison,
left
I
the
didn't
wrong
expect this
dude.
joint to go that far. I thought it was about to be a
Left the wrong
passing thing.
dude.
Now you know.
That's what we
I tried to
do.
watch that movie so many times. I failed every single time.
Bro, it's a Western, man. It's a Western cowboy film.
Should we ask Lou what my starting question was or no?
Oh yeah,
Lou, what superhero has caused the most property damage? And you can include anime. If you want to.
Oh, if you can include anime, then Goku's blown up the earth.
yes. Thank you. Goku's the one.
Goku's taking a planet and a continent out several times.
Yeah, he's
what do
taking
you
out
say
several
without
worlds.
including anime.
Say that again.
What do you pick if you don't include anime?
Like on a peak failure level, or like consistent property damage.
Just add all of it together. Who has caused the most property damage? Or if it makes it easier, then you can go MCU.
I mean, if we go MCU, then it is probably the Hulk.
That's what I said.
The MCU?
The Hulk. His whole power is destroy things.
Hulk smash. Like,
I'm going
that's literally the only thing he could say.
Unless you want to say, but then that's still partially Bruce Banner. But Bruce Banner and Tony Stark made Ultron, and Ultron freaking lifted a city and pile drived it back into the ground.
I blame Tony more than Bruce because Tony put his own emotions into it. Bruce was just coming up with something, and Tony continued to work on it on his own. Like, I blame Tony for Ultron, and
he co-signed it. He's a co-signer.
Huh?
He's a co-signer.
But I thought
You don't have to
Bruce-
go along with everything Tony
Bruce Banner
does because
didn't
it's
know
Tony
that
Stark.
he
He
was
could have been like, "Yo, this is not a good idea." I don't think Shuri would have went along with it.
But I thought Bruce Banner was like tricked. Like he didn't know. Like he went too far or something. I thought
No,
it wasn't
man,
a
he
problem.
didn't.
So
Yeah.
what happened was it was the mind gem, and like Bruce and Tony were talking about using the mind gem to finish the Ultron project, and then the squad was like no, and then Bruce was like, I feel like we should get squad approval, and Tony was like, we don't got time for squad approval because they're gonna take it. So he was like, let's jump on this now. So like Tony hastily did it, but Bruce wasn't completely against the idea.
Gotcha.
He co-signed. It was a soft co-sign, but he still co-signed. Tony gave him a fake ultimatum, and he went along with it.
He made bombs.
You said what?
He made bombs.
Yeah, I mean, he's part of the military industrial complex. Like he's got a lot of hit bodies.
Like, how do you make bombs and then be surprised when they're used to kill and destroy people?
When you're Iron Man.
That's why this trash it.
And then my other pick within Marvel would have been Silver Surfer, only because when he was allowing Galactus to destroy planets in order to save his own. You could count that technically.
Well, here's one. Who in DC destroys the most?
What happened? I missed that.
Who in
Who in
DC
DC
I
destroys the most?
Superman earlier, and I would probably,
Superman?
yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Oh yeah, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Property damage in Man of Steel was that man wasn't even trying to avoid the building.
Yeah. I'm just gonna fly right through it, and I don't care if it crashes.
Yeah, they were having some like Goku level fights in Man of Steel.
I think we should save your dad's question for later, much later.
At least, we'll come back to this one.
We're gonna come back to that, Mr. Cooper. I got some things planned.
It's in the works.
The least interesting.
All right, let's get into this. Project Power Talk
Yes.
review real quick, and then we're gonna go into Project Lovecraft.
So if you didn't watch it, this is about to be spoiler heavy, and it's all your fault. Sorry. Should I start?
Yeah, kick it off.
I mean, you open with an opener like that, you kinda
Yeah, that's what I'm
gotta-
saying. You can't drop a bomb and then leave. You got Iron Man.
I liked the concept of the film, and I hated the outcome. Like, I think this is the first time we've seen like mutants or supers with powers that their bodies cannot handle that I've seen. Like if you think about all of the mutants, you know, their powers don't affect their body the way that the bodies were affected in Project Power, like from MGK's character being burned to
The scars.
whose fingers fell off when she froze, or even the guy who got built big, kind of like the Hulk. Before I even saw him, I said, "Oh, his power is crazy because why does his skin on his neck look like that?"
All those
And
stretches and scars.
You saw why. So on one hand, I think that's cool, but on the other hand, the science doesn't make much sense. So I'm a little annoyed that they even left that in there, because let's go back to MGK's character. He was a crisp by the time that 5 minutes ended, and he no longer had power. How was his body able to recover from that? Or
How was the
even
building sustained?
was it Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Is that his name?
Yep.
Even though he got shot in the side of his head, clearly, like, his body was affected. His eye went red. Like, that man should have CTE. He should be on the ground drooling. Even though the bullet did not penetrate him, it still should have injured him more than it did, in my opinion. So that's the part of the movie that bothered me the most.
I feel like that was action movie injury. Like, we know real people wouldn't wake up just like people can't walk away from an explosion. I don't know if that was a
Facts.
pill.
Facts. I can see
thought
that.
Imani was,
I was about to say
like
there's
it
some
should've been worse.
action movie logic that's applied there somewhat that I can kind of forgive.
I kind of agree, but my thing is, especially like Netflix put out a very short documentary on like the science behind the powers. And my opinion, if you're gonna have real scientists go into it and basically say this is not how this is gonna work, then you can't give me that on screen. Like you're basically giving me something that you have already been told is not gonna work, and you're implying that it's really not gonna work on screen. Does that make sense?
So there was a documentary on Project Power, or is
On
this a
Netflix, it's just a short
like behind the scenes thing?
not behind the scenes. It's a breakdown, a scientific breakdown of 4 of the powers. The guy getting big and stretching out, Joseph Gordon-Levitt getting shot in the head, MGK's power, and one more, maybe the invisibility guy. Yeah. And so they brought you the science and like the animals and what it would take. And then after they said, you know, what animal might be inspired by it, they were basically like, well, this isn't going to work with humans because this is why. I was like, well, if you're going to do that, then
How do we get the others?
why?
Yeah.
Like, why would
It's
that
a
even
movie.
like they debunked exactly why it wouldn't work right after they just gave us this movie, and that bothered me.
Oh yeah, I ain't watched that, but I also like because I specifically think certain proverbs shouldn't be over explained. Like the worst part of the Flash TV show to me was anytime they tried to explain the super speed and it just didn't make sense. And I'm like, yo, say speed force and walk away.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, it's a flux capacitor. What's the science behind a flux capacitor? I don't know, but this is a flux capacitor. And that's what's necessary.
Yeah. Like it's this is science fiction. Like it's fiction. You don't have to scientifically explain everything.
Yeah, so
within
like
it.
that's the problem with explaining, because you go into explain something that doesn't make sense, and then
you haven't thought out completely. You don't even understand how this works.
Yeah, that takes us into like the pills. Do the powers come from the pill, or does the power come from the people and the pill just brings your power out? I think that should have been clear, and I don't think they had to explain it too deeply to say that. They could have just said, Joe, the power is in with you, or the power is in the pill.
Yeah.
They tried to explain the pill thing a couple times. Like initially when Jamie Foxx's character was in that truck, he said they're running tests and these are all the lab rats. They're just throwing these things out here and just seeing what would happen. So that made
and then they said each pill has a number.
So they're tracking it. So
right.
Yeah.
The hole in that, what we came up with the hole in that though is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character seemed like he knew what power he would get, which is like
and Jamie Foxx knew what power he was going to get.
Yeah, and so it all made sense until that point where it's like, oh, they throwing random numbers out.
I was thinking maybe it's the pill just activates the one power that you have.
Right.
But then later on, they're talking about when they're making a demonstration that they're trying to specialize it so each pill has a designated power. That's basically what they hinted to the Brazilian president or whoever was in there. They basically was selling that to him, like we're going to specialize this in the future. And they had the little chamber with the woman in there. They knew exactly what power that was going to be, because how they have the temperature change.
I personally think the chamber was built for whatever, because they don't know. I mean, the glass was really strong.
Yeah, that was just a containment thing. Like they were just they're like, I don't know what this is going to really do. So here's some safety glass.
And I think that he set it up, like Imani said, that it was for everything. And once she started exhibiting certain powers, he was like, you guys are about to experience a very rare power. It's not like I don't think he knew before she started showing.
It kind of sounded like they had like a list of powers that they knew you could possibly have.
Because based on what other people have exhibited, like based on the powers that other people got, like they don't even know the full extent of what people are like capable, like what powers people are capable of getting. I think. But
then what's with the exploding pill? They specifically knew there was a pill that explodes people because the henchmen, before Jamie Foxx fought them, was about to take a pill, and the leader was about to say, "Hold up, no, don't take that one." He took it and exploded.
I'm tell you,
right? Because they tell you what that back is. And forth. They didn't. I'm
gonna tell you what that is. On that. That's called a plot hole. And they were in the writing room, and they were like, "Yo, all right. So what if there's a bad pill?" And then they were like, "Oh, we never thought about that." well, let's just make them explode. Yeah, that's it.
No,
And
because
that's what happened.
they went back and forth on the like knowing and not knowing things. So I feel like it is a plot hole, but not like that one moment was a plot hole. Like 3 of the writers in the writers' room were like, okay, so everybody has a specific power, and the other 3 writers in the writers' room were like,
Nah.
okay, it's the pill that gives you the power, and they never like noticed that when they were checking the draft.
Yeah. They never answered how that was going to work. If the pills were granting the power, or if the people had the power, and it was just unlocking the power within the people. Oh man, look at that!
But
I think
overall, with the
problem
film,
is that we don't know.
I enjoyed it as an action film.
Yeah, and my mom made a point earlier. I think I agree with this. Like there was way too much stuff they were trying to squeeze into that film. That if it were a series, like a mini series, like 5, maybe 6 episodes, 90 minutes long, it could have worked, because then they would have worked out all of the little kinks and details that they needed to.
I was like, I thought it was like mediocre mostly, but like most movies are mediocre. They fall into average range. I think the stuff that made it worth the watch was the non-superpowered stuff. Like they had a black girl protagonist who started selling drugs, not because I need this money because I'm gonna make fast money. It was like, yo, my mom's got medication
That
and I
had to
know
get
this is
paid for.
illegal, but my
And we
mom's
broke.
gonna die and I'm a
Yep.
minor and we broke. So like I really like that. I really like the undertones of like this is a pharmaceutical industry setup and they planted this here. So like the railroad undertones I was very with.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they ain't follow all the way through with the PowerPoint thing.
But I was always entertained though. It kept my attention the entire time. So that's the measure I have if a film is worth watching, is if it doesn't keep your attention. Because a lot of films I watch, some of them could be, I kind of drift off at the end. But this one kept my attention all the way through. So it's not a bad movie. But
No, I wouldn't say it was bad.
I
wouldn't say it was bad. It was good. It was entertaining. It was like it was definitely entertaining, for sure. And I think my only criticisms is that it could have used more of a serial format, to where they could have taken time to, 1, explain the relationships between the characters, 2, explain the powers and how they work and how the pills work, and then we can start getting into like the conflict and the hero protagonist. I liked early on when we didn't know if Jamie Foxx's character was a hero or a villain. I like that. That was entertaining to me. And then for me, it was revealed too early and too quickly that he was a hero. Like if it was a series, they could have let that drag on a little bit and then made.
Never had to say anything until the last. Let's say it was a 6-episode miniseries. The last 20 minutes or so, he take that pill and shock everybody. That's what it should have been, in my opinion, and they didn't do it, so I'm mad.
Yeah, and I feel like if you have that, if you create that conflict between Gordon Levitt's character and Jamie Foxx, and like put the black girl in between, like, because 1, the city cop doesn't believe that Jamie Foxx is a hero because he's been told that he's the bad guy. Right, like, so now you've got this whole conspiracy theory going on, and like now she's put in the middle because like she trusts Jamie's character, but she can't trust him completely. And then at the same time, like she's got the cop that she's known her whole life. Like it puts them in direct conflict, and that can create like an interesting dynamic between the 3 characters that would have been dope to see unfold until they're forced. Yeah, until they're forced to until that plot is revealed that there's a whole conspiracy going on behind the scenes that all levels of the government are involved in, and now they have to come together because they're all standing on their own morals, and now that the curtain is dropped, we've got to come together and resolve this. And having that be told slowly over time would have been more rewarding for that end and that final conclusion.
One thing
final sequence
they missed out on, that they touched on a little bit, at least it was the vibes that I got, that the pills are addictive. Like
that was also another dope concept. Yeah. Like,
and I don't think they did enough of it. I can tell that both MGK's character and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, they were both addicted. What was the police officer's name? I do not remember. I feel bad. I'll look it up. But his character was just so ready to take that pill at the bank scene. He didn't know what the power was, what he was rolling into. Like, if anything, he might have made the situation worse by taking the pill and jumping in there. He was so addicted to the power that he chose to insert himself there. And then just clearly with MGK's character, how many times you got to have your face scarred up before you decide that this is a bad idea? Like,
About that scene? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't understand, like, how that made me question, do you have to heal? There's only so much the human body can heal. But do you have to heal, like, even with the police officer getting shot in the head, you have to heal in a certain amount of time.
And then a lot of that can be explained too with that addiction aspect of it. Like, if the pills are that addictive to where, like, he's going against his own will. He's destroying his own body to take these pills because it's that addictive, it's that strong. Then that makes a lot more sense to me.
I think, especially since they went into the science of it, MGK's character should have been dead after the first time he used the pill. Because when, after like the flames went off, he was all charred up. And then he had to heal, live in the hood and stay in your house and heal from first degree burns all over your body. Is it first or third? Which one is worse?
Third,
Okay.
I think third's worse.
Third, yeah.
He was crispy and healed from that, and only part of his face looked jacked up. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I appreciated the idea that our bodies couldn't handle it, but the way they went about it, I think, was wrong. And I feel like maybe we would feel more comfortable if we had that mini series format that would allow us to, go into it a little bit more, because they so much stuff.
MGK's character to me was very annoying because I just don't believe that he was living in that house. Like, you're using your power and you're in that building should have been burned down a long time ago.
I think that building was made of concrete. I think concrete and cinder blocks to you. But I mean, you are right though. Like, it should have been more destroyed. And he may just been going house to house.
He took 2 pills, right? He took 2 pills back to back, and that's the only thing that really blew up the whole.
Yeah, I agree with you. There should have been. It depends on how long he was there. I don't know how long he was there for. I got the impression that he may have just like been squatting.
So Gabriella, regardless of whether the pill is the power or the power is in the person, the people who are buying it on the street don't know. The dealers don't know, and the people buying the pills don't know. The only people who may possibly know if the power is in the pill itself are the creators. So, like, MGK didn't know what his power was going to be until he took that pill.
Yeah, that's something they don't really explain clearly. But to Amani's point, that seems to be what it is. Yeah, the government kind of has a general idea of what these pills can do and what powers they enable in certain people. But we don't know what the connection is. If there's like a genetic connection between the person individually and the pill and what it can activate. We don't know. That's just never explained.
And it makes me jump again back and forth because I wish I knew his name, but the police officer, when he stole the pills that were when they were like running out from the presentation, why would you just take a random batch, take random pills if you don't know what you're going to get? And
especially when there's one that's exploding.
Right, and didn't he have the same powers after he took those random pills?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's like,
I have a feeling that there's several trials of pills going on because I think
they say that.
Yeah. So
that's why I had a number.
It's just not clear enough to us.
I feel like they had a kill pill, and that was that exploding pill.
A pill where you could just know what power you're going to be, because what I thought they were going to do was like sell it to the military. So you have like a group of soldiers that have this one power, and then you have another group of soldiers that have another power, and they have a special unit that they can just go and take over the world.
But see, I feel like they have to have a kill pill because, like, if you're going to control to that level, like, someone could go radical, and then like all you got to do is swap their pills out, and it's over for them.
Exactly. That's what I thought happened with the guy that exploded trying to protect his boss during the presentation. Like, why did he yell no? when he was about
Yeah.
to take the when the witch
Yeah,
was
he
about
took
to
the wrong pill. He took
Because
kill
the
pill,
entrance
man.
I mean, I think we gonna beat this point. It's blurry, bro. The line is super
Line is
blurry.
blurry. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Won't be able to figure it out.
Nope.
But I did have a question that I asked at the end of the last show, and I wanted to know, what do you guys think your power would be?
Camouflage, because just like that guy who robbed the bank, I think I would have done it better. I don't know why he held people hostage. What was the use of holding people hostage if they can't see you? Just take the money and leave.
Yeah. Why did he? I don't understand why he robbed the bank.
don't
Like
need
he
to
could have
open the
literally
vault,
just
take
blended
the
in
few
and snuck in there.
$1,000 and just hit each bank. No one's ever gonna see you. Why you had to hold people hostage? That's my
The
opinion.
money was
Hey, he's
smart.
got a good
He
point.
opened that joint, and
That's got a good
it
point.
was a good plan all around.
They
Yeah,
just see money just floating away.
but yeah, like I mean, to Mark's point though, like he didn't have to stick up the
He
bank.
opened it, and then the ink sprayed him, and that's how he was
But
able
like
to-
he didn't have to rob the bank at gunpoint.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
got
part
the
where it
bad
doesn't
money.
make any
He
sense.
could've got
Like
in there with the money.
he could have literally just snuck in there.
They only put that ink blot in there when they're getting robbed. They don't give that just a regular.
He could have turned into Splinter Cell and just snuck right on in there.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made more sense. And then like maybe he gets caught, like something happens, they trip, like maybe it's like laser sensors or some shit in the vault, and they go off, and then like he panics. I don't know. Anyway, just
That would have been mine.
That would have been better.
Ebony, what was yours?
Does it have to be animal based? I have two.
Just what do you want? Is what
I
you
want to
think
be able to control elements. Like I want to be
storm for 5 minutes.
yes, storm. Yes, basically storm.
In a way, they didn't. Jamie Foxx's character's name was Art. They didn't really dive deep into his daughter's power, but we do remember her walking by the leaf, and all of a sudden it came to life. And they kind of shaped her as the source of power. So for all we know, she might be able to do some crazy things like that, or all the powers that we see may already be within her.
Right. That would be crazy.
I was thinking because she was hooked up to a machine, and they were like, they were calling her Henrietta Lacks.
Mm-hmm.
So he's some super cells or something.
Immortal cells.
Oh yeah, they did try to slide that in.
Yeah, they dropped that in real. They just dropped that in there.
Hey, you ever heard of Henrietta Lacks?
Do some Googles.
It needed to be a show. Lou, what's yours?
Mine is like super seemingly boring, and I would just be able to process information at really high speeds, and I just pick a thing and think about it, and at the end, like,
yes. Hey, listen, that was. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was mine. Like I want it to be like the Lucy pill.
Read every Wikipedia page.
Oh, okay.
Just make me
just
process this computer real quick.
Yep.
5 minutes. I'm gonna just sit for 5 minutes.
Right. Just give me just enhance my mental capacity like 3 or 4%.
You would know you could literally do anything. You would know all the skills you need to do anything. You could build a plane, you could build it, you can do whatever.
Or no, yeah, I wanted to give me full access to my brain. Problem solved. That's it, right there.
About that, but in films, like people who have so much knowledge, like Dr. Manhattan, I don't want to be like him.
I only got it for 5 minutes. This is the power of
That's
the
what I'm
film.
saying.
This is part. Like,
listen,
I take the knowledge like a hit.
Exactly. You're in a moment right now, right? Like, all right, rewind 2016 election, right? You pop that pill real quick, and then you just know. You just like, all right, I'm good, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to panic, nothing. You just be fine. You're like, all right, I see what's about to happen. I'm good.
Wait a minute now. You could use your brain that way in 2016 and know what this year was going to look like, and you wouldn't panic?
Because I would probably see the outcome. I would see the outcome. I would see what happens. We don't know what happens
what that
beyond
stock market was about to do.
Exactly. Exactly. There's so much.
I would be safe. That's what you're saying, Lou?
Yeah. But that's not what I would use it for. But like in that situation, oh yeah, like me and my peoples, I got this nice stash. We can get out of here.
Things will happen.
I just like when I say pop the pill enhanced brain processing, like I have to. It's not like a all see-through time thing. It's just like a computer running through a billion possibilities in 10 seconds. That's just
bro.
me.
Like, no, yeah, because imagine you just like for 5 minutes have the internet, like just you can be able to just tap into the internet
Like
and just
Dr.
understand,
Strange.
like literally understand what's going on around across the globe.
Imagine playing the movie Power
All you
at
would need is
20
5
times
minutes.
speed
Exactly.
for like 1 minute,
So
and then
basically,
you
like when
actually know it.
Dr. Strange ran all the scenarios.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I had 5 minutes
Yes.
of information that I didn't
Yep,
have
that's it.
before
It's Doctor Strange for the scenarios.
at supercomputer speeds. Absolutely. Give me that 110%.
He's
Yes.
just sitting there processing what the world is
Bro,
doing.
because I don't need to be I don't want to be high profile. I don't need I don't want to attract a lot of attention. I just need to know how to move.
Honestly, I don't think I could handle that because I would be selfish. I need to know where my future is going. What am I
That's what I'm
doing?
saying.
For everybody else, what's Monty in 20 years doing?
I need a holistic
20 years too far out, too many variables. You overusing the power. We got
Exactly.
5 minutes.
Oh,
What would
You got to
so does
prioritize
this
information.
come to you, or you have to look it up?
Look it up.
Gotta look it up, but like
Internet.
you processing it at that light speed.
Yeah, so you can like kind of
Just click
predict.
around,
You
yeah.
can kind of predict based on which scenario. Like,
I mean,
what's
think about
happening.
it. Think what is we have like what 12%? We can access 12% of our brains.
I thought it was 10.
Extra
Roughly.
percentage is weird because a lot of brain stuff do need to be automatic. I need
Now-
my muscle memory. I need my emotion.
Right.
like-
So and it's like, but it's so it's you. That's all now elevated. So like how and the speed at which you can process information has gone up exponentially. So like a process that would take you maybe a week, you can now do in like 100 times faster.
Hey, imagine popping that pill right before you saw your therapist. That would be your last session.
Why would I do
Make
that?
that money
But need a
work.
therapist.
You wouldn't need a therapist.
You wouldn't need a
anymore.
therapist.
You'd be like, oh,
You
I
wouldn't need a
understand
therapist.
all my crack.
Right.
Like, thank you.
I got it. Appreciate it, Doc.
Honestly, if you did that before your session and like you were in therapy while during that first 5 minutes, they might commit you, yo.
Bro, I would do it right. But no, I might do it and then go to the therapy session and just
After
flip the table. No, yeah, you show up after I take the pill, go to the therapy session, and
they're gonna be like, yo, call the nearest psych ward now. Like,
Why? Because I figured my stuff out. I can push. You know them walls they tell you got to push through. It's happening real fast.
right.
Oh,
It dropped.
This is all about that thing that happened when I was 3 years old that I repressed. It makes sense now. Thanks, Doc.
Exactly.
You're so
Exactly.
real.
Crying for 5 minutes.
that's crazy.
We're crazy.
My power is so not exciting compared to what y'all just said, but I would choose teleportation, like Jumper or I love Nightcrawler, but I like Jumper because he can go anywhere. It doesn't just have to be someplace close.
Ooh, for like half a second when you said Nightcrawler, I thought she was talking about that Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and I was like, whoa.
I like that movie.
Oh my god.
Then I realized he was talking about the X-Men.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to like blink real hard and be someplace else.
That's a
I
good
don't like-
one. You
I don't
need
like
flights.
traveling. I like getting to where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then also I would be awful and I would steal. I'm
Teleporting into vaults and stuff.
Oh man.
So you and Mark teaming up for the perfect crime? She gonna teleport a ball.
I'm definitely giving back to the people. You know, shout out to all them good people. Robin Hood-esque, whatever you want to call me. I'm making sure I take care of people.
Wait, what you call yourself?
Robin Hood-esque.
It's so bad because Robin's a gender neutral name.
It really is. Like
It could've just been Robin
It
Hood.
could have just been Robin Hood.
The hood part, I don't know. I feel like I needed to add it as
Robin is.
Robin S.
I'm surprised you wouldn't ask for the power. I'm surprised you wouldn't teleport back to your people in space.
Not for just 5 minutes. I would cry. Wait, we're not supposed to get into that.
But see, like if you took the pill and got the power, me and Lou would talk about, you just know that. You wouldn't even need to go there. You just know. You would know where to go.
The
You would know what
people
would happen.
we're talking about, and I don't want to tell them today. I will say, if it was only 5 minutes, that's not enough, and I'm really sad. So I'm gonna leave that alone until I know I can make it a permanent thing. Okay. Sorry,
But
y'all gonna find out one day.
I mean, you could pop the pill, get the 5 minutes, figure out how to go into
Become a
into
space engineer and
no. No.
You know what? You
I
know
mean,
who
you could
could do
you
that?
kind of do
Me
that.
with my pill
Yes, exactly.
in a
But
textbook.
Oh,
what
my
would I? No, I'm saying like you could go. What's the Ant-Man thing?
Oh,
Yeah, you go subatomic
yeah.
Yes.
when he goes subatomic, because then 5 minutes could be like who knows how long.
I don't want to do that. It was atomic for like years. Remember
20 years.
The original Wasp? She came back with gray hair. She left in her early.
But
30s.
I could go in there for 5 some minutes and then come back out, and you don't know how much time. But like the amount of knowledge that I would have acquired would have been like way more than what I would have in this world.
I don't know if I want to.
Just because how time works differently. But anyway, that's beyond the point.
What would be that would be your power, the Ant-Man one?
No. It's the same as Lou's. We had the same one.
Oh, okay.
Infinite knowledge.
No, not infinite knowledge.
No. Process.
Just processing information.
What's the difference?
I don't want to know everything that ever is, was, or will be.
You just want to
Don't
know.
flood your head up.
I mean, then I would like, what's the point at that point? Like,
You would forget most of it anyway.
Y'all
Because
gonna
your
be
brain prioritizes things.
tell you it's gonna be crack for both of y'all.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll be addicted.
That's a good payoff. What do you mean?
Oh my goodness. Are we good on this?
I'm
Just
good.
also know that would also probably make you bomb at sports too. Like imagine being a quarterback going
Your
through
Twitch
your reads.
speed? Oh my god. What?
Take it
Yes.
for every possession.
I'm about to say you
Every
have to say it so
possession you got?
often.
Right. Imagine being a
Nah, I got 5 minutes. 2-minute drill. Pop that pill. Oh, they got 3 men crashing down on a blitz. 2 steps outside. Drop the pocket. Oh, second man cover third. All that happens in the blink of an eye. You're like, how did he see that?
Yeah, because what was the movie that was like, it was just like Lucy, but it had Bradley Cooper.
Oh, Limitless.
Yeah, Limitless.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that pill, because that's basically what that pill was doing.
Wasn't it?
Because
like,
dude
what was the
watched
side effects?
he watched like 50 million kung fu movies and learned kung fu.
What was the side effects of that?
It didn't matter because at the end of the movie, Bradley Cooper took the pill and then used him being on the pill to develop a version of the pill without the side effects.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. It was like it was limiting in way. Like the more you take it, like
He became limitless though. No, he became limitless. That was the whole point of the movie.
He did because he figured out at the end. But
Yeah, he figured out. Oh, I used the pill to make a better pill.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think it would have took me an entire movie to figure that out though. that's the difference. It would no.
Oh, okay.
It would have took me 10 minutes because the first time I would have did it and then realized afterwards what the side effects were. Second time around, it's over for it. I
So
just need
y'all
5 more
need
minutes.
to create the perfect pill for everybody else. And
I ain't say all that.
Yeah, they not
That's on y'all.
because if everybody has all this infinite knowledge, then what's the point?
I'm trying. I know because my question is why you ain't think about that. You took the pill. We took the same pill.
It's not infinite. It's
We took
like
the same pill.
you just got the processing speed to go through everything you wanted to know. Your bookshelf, whatever you ain't read on your bookshelf, that's complete.
Done.
Don't learn.
Anyway.
You want your PhD and you got to read all them peer review articles. Done. Cut 2 years off your PhD time. One sitting.
Wonder if Jamie Foxx. You think Jamie Foxx will sign a multi-contract deal?
I think he should have instead of making this movie.
Maybe they might make a sequel.
I don't know, man. Netflix be working in mysterious ways.
Yeah, so I don't know if he get locked into. I don't know because he doesn't get locked into. He hadn't gotten locked into a contract like that since he was doing TV. So
Since he's doing his own show.
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I guess if the numbers are right,
Maybe.
I guess. For the story of his daughter, definitely
I'm
continue
kind
to
of
proceed
thinking
100
that
down.
this might have a setup
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be multiple films, like how Will Smith,
They left it open ended.
Mm-hmm.
Bright was supposed to be like they're planning to do,
Right.
it, but I mean,
They're
just
still
like
making a
Bright.
second one.
Really?
Another
Yeah.
Bright
To
is-
what? A second one to
Right.
what?
Right.
Again, Netflix an anomaly to me. I don't know how
That
they
came
be
out like
deciding-
6 years ago.
No, it came out like 2 years ago.
But
Weren't we still in college
plans to do a sequel?
Nah.
Were we?
No, we were
I
not
don't
in
think
college.
so.
I was living in Jersey.
when Bright came out?
I don't think so.
The one with the orcs? Nah, I don't think we were in college.
I was in Jersey when that came out. This is
No,
what I-
no, we weren't.
It's like
We
2
watched
years
it. We were
after.
in a year place.
It came out in 2017. That was 3 years ago.
we were not in
We
college.
wasn't in college.
And we 2 years out.
Well, I mean,
2 years removed.
Still
Yeah,
not
I
in
don't. That's
But yeah, they're making a second
Close
one.
enough.
That's what they say. They say it's still on the books.
man. That's in the. That's
I
that
think just
boy.
because it
No.
made so much. Well, I can't make so much money on Netflix, but the ratings were so high. It was like one of the highest views.
Yeah, ratings. Yeah, but how profitable was it?
I
Especially
don't-
from a streaming standpoint.
See, again, Netflix, that you can't say how profitable
Yeah,
because
you
Netflix
can't.
don't make sense. Netflix
Yeah.
has been in the red for years.
Subscription.
That's what I'm saying. Well, no,
I
I
don't
mean,
know what they're doing.
yeah, but most of Hollywood's been in the red as for 3-4 times as long. Like these studios are just starting to collapse because they're not putting out anything.
I personally don't mind when there's a time gap in between sequels as long as
'Cause-
I'm getting quality. The only thing I
It's
don't
good.
fit in that is Avatar has been too long. But as far as in general, I want quality over like 2 years. Every 2 years, give me a film. Like I'll
Bad
wait
Boys 3.
5 years if I'm gonna get a quality film in return. We already know that the first film had a lot of problems. They cannot return with a film with just as many problems because there's people who don't want to watch the second film already because the first one is bad. They're not going to
That's
watch
me.
it. So then if you have people who want to see it do better and it's even worse, or if it's bad again, then that's going to turn even less people watching it now.
Mhm.
So they have to come back with a better film. I would rather them take the time to do that. It doesn't have to be quick. Yeah. So as far as like
I'd
Avatar,
rather they just left for that
first
one break.
was great. What do you like? What technology? I don't know.
Give reasons and then stick to it through the whole thing. That's all I ask.
Are we good on
I
that?
Bad
agree.
Boys 3 was a good movie that had a long break between sequels. Bad Boys 3.
Yeah.
It was definitely much
right.
better than Bad Boys 2.
Oh yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah. If y'all are ready, I'm ready to move into Lovecraft.
I'm ready.
Oh yes, that is.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Alrighty. So let's talk about episode 1, season 1, episode 1 of Lovecraft.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler heavy review of episode
Yes.
1.
Yes. Out the gate, amazing. The opening scene was nuts. I rewatched it a couple times, just the opening scene to catch more things. Wow. Is that just it's like I want to say so much and I can't at the same time. It was just so good.
I love series that have a lot of history in them, especially
Mhm.
American history. This was one of those. So I was already liking it from the beginning. And then when it got into the supernatural, it was icing on the cake.
Yeah. Luke.
Yeah, nope. I'm very here for Lovecraft Country. Really dope. I'm gonna keep hyping all the Black woman excellence in Lovecraft Country because like they gave a Black woman $5 million an episode to produce something, and she went and hired more Black people, and then they just put out something that is wild good.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah. The story, I mean, from start to finish was full of suspense, and the horror beats for me were all centered around the interactions with the racist whites in the movie. Like all of the horror, like the monsters take a backseat for me to the racism, because like I think the most frightening moments is when they're in anytime any racist white people show up is like when I'm on edge, because I'm like I tense up instantly. Like the monsters are kind of like, oh, thank God. It's like
real monsters.
yeah, and the crazy part was I feel for me, which is I think I'll say is my favorite part of the episode, was how they juxtapose H.P. Lovecraft's own racism within the series, and like they projected on the police officers at the end on the sheriffs. And we're going to go into spoilers here, but like when they're in the room in the little cabin and they're trapped, their own racism keeps them
Love that
from
scene.
working
Yes.
together to survive. And I'm like, yo, this
Bro,
is
it kept-
absolutely insane.
And that
Right.
throws
Like they
more
kept
to
the
me.
weapons, they kept the guns trained on the black people while they're getting attacked by monsters. Like
Your
what?
whole army-
And y'all
What?
Heard that theory, yeah, y'all have heard that theory. Like if the aliens come, the whole world would join together to fight the aliens.
Absolutely not.
No.
Nah,
Mm-mm.
no,
Ain't gonna happen.
That would not happen.
no.
Ain't gonna be no kumbaya. All it's gonna do is enhance
The
all
U.S.
the
gonna
problems
launch
that we
all
have.
their nukes at once, and we all
Yeah.
gonna be screwed anyway.
We gonna
Just
and we
like
gonna
the
we
movie
gonna
Arrival, everybody once claimed to talking to the aliens. You know, like the movie Arrival when the aliens came,
Oh yeah,
all the countries were fighting over. It was all politics. Like that's exactly what would happen.
That's exactly what's gonna happen. It's gonna heighten every single one of the fears that
Everyone's
are
gonna lock
deeply
it up.
embedded into the different societies across the globe. Like that's all it's gonna do.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah.
I
And
love,
then oh yeah, go ahead.
I love horror, as we know, and I've recently recognized I like to shy away from horror that's about racism. And this show combines the horror that I dislike with the horror that I love the most. I love monster films. That's what H.P. Lovecraft was all about. But there's another monster here that I can relate to a little bit too much, and it makes me uncomfortable. And I'm loving the show, but I'm definitely struggling within myself to embrace it because I am terrified. And that is something that Jordan Peele does well. He's good at scaring us. And what's crazy was it you who saw Get Out in a theater full of white people?
oh yes, out here in Eastern Washington, and like there was parts where I was shook to my core, and the theater had laughter, and I was like, "Yo, what is happening
You don't
right now?"
understand.
I feel like that movie
You were
was
in that-
5
you
times
were in the movie.
scarier for me.
You were in the movie.
It was, and that's because
Yeah, I was in the theater.
He
I
was
in the back
basically
of the theater.
he was in a supporting role.
I was like, yo, I walked out of that movie feeling so
those
unsettled
3D
because I was like, yo, why were they laughing? I don't understand why they were laughing.
You put those 3D
was
glasses
funny
on
to
in
him.
the film.
And honestly, I kind of
Oh my
feel like
Lord.
that's the double horror that we're gonna feel because yes, we're afraid of the monsters too, but this racism is crazy. And all I could think about is white people sitting at home on their couch screaming at the monsters, not even registering that the police officer still has the gun on this black people.
Well,
I fully expected that. I mean, yeah,
But
yeah.
I think what makes this
Yeah.
show good, better than like Get Out. You have it's a little bit funny even during the scary parts. It's like just so outrageous. But this one, when it gets to that uncomfortable point, there's nothing funny about that part. Like
No.
when they're in the restaurant trying to order, you can't laugh at that. I
No.
think that's what's gonna grab other people, like especially white people, differently. It's just like I can't really laugh at this. They're gonna be uncomfortable, Mike, for a different reason, from a different perspective. Like they might just, I feel bad. They're not gonna be like scared, but that's gonna be a different reaction than a Get Out did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
And
think,
then, but no, let's go back to the point. Let's go back to that scene because waiter goes back to the back. Who does he call?
Owner or the police.
oh, that scene,
Thank you.
like, watch that the second time. It's even more incredible because they walk into the diner and the diner was supposed to be named Lydia's Diner. It had been renamed. And so like you're piecing together the fact that the diner that was in the green book, they burned it down
Yeah.
because he's on the phone with the police.
The one
And
next
he
door,
was
right?
like,
I would've
yeah,
been-
no, the diner they were in.
and then they
And
throw
the
they
diner
throw in
they
that
were in. Yeah, because
then they-
because he says, look, I promise I didn't take their order. I don't want you to do to me what you did to Miss Lydia.
yes.
Then he said, tell me about the White House again. Why it's painted white?
Yep.
Because they burnt it
Yes.
down and it covered up burn marks. Then he moved the floorboard and the floor was burnt. They were saying the woman who previously owned the bar, they burnt the shit with her in it.
because they
Ooh.
serve black people.
Because they
And I
serve
said
black
that
people.
as soon as they pulled up, I said, Mark, doesn't that building look burnt down? And then of course,
But no, but even when they said that's not the name of the, I would have been like, that's and you walked in, and a patron walked out, I was like,
Yo, Uncle George.
When they were in the
that was
car
his
pulling
job,
up.
is to go in these places to figure out if it's comfortable or not for Black people. So I can see he probably been in that situation so often, but me watching it, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Uncle George work a hard job because the first scene you see him, second scene you see him, he got both his knees busted with a bat and said, "I'm gonna go do this again."
Whew.
He a hero and a patriot, cause
Right.
you bust both my knees with a bat and send me home. I'm not going out again. Call it what it is, but
a good thing, that was another historical thing. Like they actually did have like guides and stuff for Black people when they travel.
yeah.
The one thing that bothers me is I personally didn't think they were afraid enough. First, when they pulled into the town, they did not pay attention, in my opinion, enough to those firefighters. Like, you should have recognized the moment that you saw them that you were not welcome there. And although Black people are not welcome in a lot of places at this time, and maybe
I was about to say, yeah, that's a normal thing.
they were going somewhere, but hey, for him to have that energy in the restaurant, talking about they gonna serve me, I'm a person like anybody else. You're not reading the room, bruh.
No, that's what I'm saying. The fact that the uncle said it, like he's the most used to this. He was making points. Either he a hero and a patriot, because I would not have made the moves, because it's the character who would know better, who does know better from personal experience, who was like, we got to do this anyway for the culture, because I need to update.
I read that as he was just he's old and Black, and he's just like, you know what?
Yes.
You know what?
That was Pop vibe.
The hell with it.
He's gonna do what Pop want to do.
You gonna do?
I saw it as like
Do what you want to.
That was
I'm
his
here.
job. Like, he was supposed to
Right.
go in places that didn't initially serve Black people and test them, because he was actually trying to be like a civil rights leader in that way. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna it's like a sit-in at a counter. That's basically what he was doing, and seeing if I sit down and I ask for a menu, will they serve me? Will I pay and walk out fine? And then he would write that in the book, like it's okay for us to go here.
Yeah,
So,
and he had
so
that
when
place
you see
written down
stuff
too.
like that- I'm sorry.
But he had that restaurant written down. That's why they went there.
Yeah,
I
so
agree
when he
with you
sees
word
like
for
the
word.
uncomfortable thing, maybe he's like, I need to keep pushing them.
Yeah, because then your
Yeah,
review
yeah.
will your review can still be like, they won't serve you, but they'll let you sit there for a while so you could breathe.
In the very next
I don't
scene,
know.
when they're like after they survive that and they get lost, in my opinion, they are once again a little too chill on the atmosphere. They know that they are in a sundown town and they are lost, and they are just getting out of the car, walking around.
But it changes though when the sheriff shows up, because like
They knew before.
up until then they're out there by themselves. Like they're like, yo, there's nobody out here. Like I can understand why they aren't on edge, because like you can't be on edge and living in fear, even though it's understandable that they would. It's normal.
Man,
this is normal.
They were in a sundown county, so they were like,
Yeah,
yo,
like-
we in the woods. We just drive to the next town either way.
No,
Yeah.
they were in the same woods that
They were,
people
and
were
then also don't
disappearing.
forget they
knew
had
where
the book.
Yes.
They knew that where they were was not safe when they looked at the map
Yes.
that the daughter had drawn. They still were not.
But they had to be there anyway. They knew they were driving to that point.
Yeah, they knew the risk that they were taking.
When they left, they were like, "Where's Artem?" Oh, it's next to the skull picture. So we go into the belly of the beast.
Yeah. So I mean, they knew what they were walking into, and then like where it intensifies is when the threat shows up, which is the sheriff. Like, because you know, like they're good up until that point. There's nobody out there. They're isolated. Like as long as no one like that shows up, they're fine. Like they know that they can probably get out before the sun goes down.
I think maybe I'm influenced by the fact that we have navigation now. It's a lot harder to get lost.
Oh yeah.
Then, and so I can't help but think I'm comparing myself having navigation now to what if all of a sudden I didn't have it and all I have is this map and I know I'm in a sundown town. That's a different level of fear than if you never experienced navigation. So maybe that's another thing.
It's also like we're looking at it relative to our times in a bunch of ways.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
this
that's
is
my point
Tuesday
too.
to them. If you want to get in a car and drive, like this is what they live.
Like you gonna have to deal with that. Like that's normal.
Have y'all ever driven through a town, even though you had your cell phone and navigation, but like your phone battery's about to die or something, and you're in a town you don't know and it's very rural,
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah, so that like you get that kind of.
oh yeah,
feeling.
like once again, like I said this on last episode, you look at a night map, and in places that are dark, I'm not going. I'm good on
You're
like
I don't wanna
survival
talk about
instincts. I'm not going out there like just for the hell of it. Like no, I'm avoiding that if I can. But like to your point, to make my point as far as the sundown laws and how they were seemingly comfortable in that, like people are that's like our grandparents' generation, right?
Mhm.
Hold up. All right. Well, while he's getting settled, let him get settled. Juice here. He'll be here shortly. While that may be like triggering for us, like that's normal for them, and our children and grandchildren are gonna look at the times we live in and go like, "Yo, that's crazy," and then we'll just be like, "Yo, this is like we don't think of it like we know it's crazy, but it's not that crazy." Because it's normal, like it's just normalized. Like this is just how we get around. Like this is how we live and survive. So we're looking at it from a perspective of privilege.
But
in many
what's
ways.
so great about this show? It's not so far. Like it doesn't seem so. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. We don't feel so detached from it
because we know
like,
it
all
happened.
Those things you're like that can happen now. Like you can feel that now.
Yeah, like we know it. We know it happens, and we know it happened, and we've heard stories, and we still hear stories to this day about stuff like that happening all the time.
That's why it hits harder than Get Out, because Get Out was still in some ways fantasy. We don't think that what happened to those people could happen. They're not stealing our bodies in that capacity right now. They're stealing in other ways, but not like that. What happened to Atticus and the rest of the crew happens still. So
and on top of that, like people, we say, you know, you hear a lot of black people say they come in before the streetlights come on. Like a lot of people don't recognize that there's a relationship between that and sundown laws. Like you say that because you know that after the sun goes down, it's dangerous for you to be outside.
Right.
Where I'm sitting right now, this used to be a sundown town. It was wild. Like this area of Washington, a lot of people worked out at Hanford where they refined the uranium for the atomic bomb. It's like they went down south, had these half tickets, told black people, go up there, you get some work, get paid real nice. But also, this area is called the Tri-Cities. 2 of these cities were sundown towns, and they sent all the black people to Pasco. And like the racial makeup, all the people of color still live in Pasco, Washington. And don't live in Richland or Kennewick because like the impacts are lasting.
It's generational.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing when you talk about Get Out, it's like it's a thing not overly scary to us because that's our Tuesday. Like we know there's certain towns we're not going in. And I think that's Lovecraft Country does a very good job of showing you normality before the monsters, especially with having them in Chicago and them being in a place where they felt safe, them being in a place where they had block parties.
They left the South. Yeah.
They left the South to get there. And even if it was bad there, like I also like the locations they chose are all places that people don't typically associate with racism. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. But
I didn't want it to pop up yet.
Oh no! But
we'll get to that.
Yeah, but like Chicago was a black safe haven, and they were like Florida. He wasn't in the South; he was in Florida, which is the South, and people be forgetting sometimes because they got Disney World. Then it was like we going to Massachusetts, like all the places you identify with racism, Ohio.
But even go back to that Florida scene, right? Like when the bus breaks down and the truck driver pulls up and parks and he looks at what's the main character's name? Atticus, right? He looks at him. They look at each other, and it's like that nonverbal communication. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not getting on that truck. We already know. Nothing needs to be said. I'm gonna go over here and grab this black lady's stuff, and we go hike." Like
that was
because they know. Yeah, and they know.
And they made a specific point of saying, like, when they cross the state line, we're not in the South anymore. So they showed you that very intentionally, and they were like, "You're not in the South. Still sucks.
Still racist. Still trash."
That Midwest Ohio.
Yeah, put up that Gabby comment.
Midwest.
Like,
Midwest life is like that all the time. Yeah. That's why I'm never going back. I did grad school in Indiana.
Yeah.
Not going back there.
What did y'all think about that scene with the when they were getting chased out the diner and then the Aston. What vehicle was that? I thought it was an
I
Aston.
I think it's an Aston
Bentley.
Martin.
Bentley or something.
Is that a Bentley?
I don't
What's
know.
that a Bentley?
It was some old car,
Listen,
right?
It was
the
nice.
car had me
Think about
hyped
that
the
scene with the
whole
white
show.
woman came out. What y'all?
Oh, that
what
was
y'all
creepy. It was
thoughts?
creepy. Like I was like, yo, this is like an android. Like, cause her
Oh,
eyes,
yeah.
her
I
eyes
was
don't
like-
look real. Those are not human eyes.
She is completely devoid of color.
Yes.
Period. Like
Yeah.
her eyes are flushed to color, the hair is blonde, the car was silver. So like it was super weird having this visual where this is like, oh, if we're talking black and white, this is like the whitest thing you can have, but also she just saved their lives.
I think he
I'm
was
very
like German or
confused.
something.
Yes.
Right?
Or is it gray? Is she in the gray?
Yeah. Some
I don't know.
When it first happened, I thought it was going to be his father who's been watching them. That's what
I
I
knew
thought.
it was
Oh,
gonna
and
be
then
something.
and then the
Then the white woman walked out. I was like,
I'll say this: I
that's
wasn't so
hilarious.
much surprised by her presence when she got out the car. I didn't care who was in the car. I was just happy to see the car because I remembered the conversation about the silver car, and then we had seen it one more time before then, real quick, and then
Chicago.
it was
they
finally-
showed it in Chicago. Like there was like an intentional like
Like, when I saw that car, I was like, "Mommy, look!" Like she wasn't paying attention. I was like, "Nah, you got to pay attention, ma'am. They're giving us Easter eggs and stuff." And then when I saw that car come down the hill, I was in the house screaming and cheering on my couch.
I also feel like they did a really good job of giving you like nuanced looks at all these characters and the stuff they're going through. Like Atticus' relation with his father being complicated anyway, his father not being into Lovecraft but being into Dumas.
Mhm.
And
what was the woman's name?
then Letty and her problems with her mother's funeral and her odd relationship with her family, and Letty going to protest in DC and bailing people out of jail in DC.
With the
Wow,
money she's supposed
stuff.
to live off of.
Yeah. With her rent money basically.
She out here protesting before it was a national movement.
Yeah. And then I mean all of her so the relationship, I'm sure that they're going to explore this further because she's like really, really light skinned compared to her siblings. Like her brother and her sister are both like really dark skinned, and she's the only
Compared
like she's
to everybody in Chicago.
compared to everyone in the. I mean, really compared to everybody on set. Really,
Yeah, that's true.
like
To talk about skin, it's more specific than really, really light skin. Let's bring up that chart because everyone on the show, besides two
segue.
people,
Look at me. I'm on
Wait,
the far
like
left.
back
right
up
there.
before we explain this. Y'all
Yeah, I'm
missed
far
like the
left.
planning meeting moment where me and
Far
Imani
left.
bonded over the fact that we both refer to skin tone by Fenty shades.
yes,
Like there's not much things that happen across the board where it's like this is the scale for skin tone. And you know, I know my mom say to my sister shade, and I need to know how to differentiate. So I started doing it. So she was just casually like, and you know, like everybody in Chicago was a 400 and Letty's like a 100. And I was like, I don't know. She's like an early 2. And Coop was like, what are y'all talking about? We're like,
I was
it's the
like,
pro
bro,
filter.
I'm like, yo, y'all out here throwing out like Dragon Ball Z power levels. I'm like, what are y'all talking about, man? Like, what is going on right now?
She went there and I was just there with her the whole time.
So for those who don't know about Fenty foundations, there are 40 shades. There's a little bit more. I think there's like 42 or 43 now. But it started out with 40 shades, and each shade was in a certain range of 100s, 200s, 300s, and 400s. 100s being the lightest, and 400s being the darkest. And on the show,
let me clarify real quick before you get any further. I did know what the Fenty numbers. I knew they existed.
but-
There was no context for it. They just started throwing out numbers. So like,
Yeah,
let's not pretend
we
like
just-
there was any like there was no context for it. I just heard numbers going out. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Anyway,
as far
continue.
as, like skin tones and judging skin tones, this is probably one of the few examples of makeup where everyone is covered. Usually in makeup, there are so many light shades, so many shades in the 1s and the 2s. They might have a couple shades in the 3, and then there is one shade in the 4. That was our standard until Fenty Beauty launched, until Rihanna launched Fenty Beauty. This is the first time where we're seeing a wide range of colors that cover everybody. So it kind of became the standard to compare skin tones, and Lou uses them even in writing to say what shade someone would be, because it's just an easy number scale. I did not notice when I was watching the show that everybody was brown until Letty's character came on screen. Everyone was in the mid to late 400s, in my opinion, in Chicago. Not one person was light except Letty and the gentleman in the back of the club who was having a good time. Everybody else was brown.
Yep. I noticed that in the trailer. I was like, okay, so she's probably going to be like a main character or something. They're gonna.
Yo, that's hilarious, because that's like I thought similar, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be, I think they're gonna lean into some colorism, and because I was hoping that they were gonna do that, like play into that the light skin, dark skin issues, because that was heavy back during that time. Like, so I thought they were gonna.
They dance around it when she's talking with her sister. Like, her sister would never get hired as somebody who worked in a department store on the floor.
I thought that too. Yeah, and I also thought that there was going to be a moment on stage, because she was like, I couldn't get a good read on the sister, because she was up there singing, and then like when the audience recognized who Letty was, then they started cheering for her to get on stage, and then like they have a moment, and I was like, oh, here we go, we're gonna do this, and then it was just sibling rivalry, which I still like.
Yeah,
I still liked.
Yeah, I was kind of thrown off about that too. I didn't even think about that, like why she wouldn't get hired for the department store. I thought she was telling her sister, none of us are getting hired for it. But,
paper bag test, player, paper bag test.
That's a good point.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Didn't think about that.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Why? So awesome podcast. If you guys want to listen to the official Lovecraft Country podcast, it's called Lovecraft Country Radio, and it's hosted by Ashley C. Ford, Black journalist, works for Times. Also is a horror stan, and then Shannon Houston, who is one of the writers in the writers' room. They give really cool context to a lot of stuff, and so it's hearing from somebody who was in the room when they were writing this stuff, and hearing from somebody who just knows the genre. And they talked about how for Letty, part of the reason she sees like a better future as possible, while people in Chicago are like, we're cooling in Chicago, is because she's probably had moments in her life where she's been treated better, so she knows what it is to be treated better, and everybody else is like, ain't no white person ever gonna be nice to me. And so they were like,
he's more optimistic.
Colorism allows her that optimism. And I was like, wow, that's wild deep.
Yeah, because you don't know how the other side has it until you get a little taste of it. So
yeah, this is a great point. I 100% agree. Go ahead, Imani.
I was gonna say, Ms. Cooper, you're absolutely correct. It's almost like we just can't catch a break, which we say that now. We say that in 2020. We cannot catch a break.
Oh man,
it's oh god, it's, you know how it's, we have to use aliens and monsters to explain racism. That's like that's a topic for a whole other like episode, but like this hits on it on many levels.
Yeah, Shannon Houston said something on the podcast. I'm gonna just start saying now. She's like, there's another word for racism, and it's absurdity. And she's like, because when you get down to it, none of it makes sense. And I'm like, when you think
can't
about
logically
horror,
explain it, like
right? Because you can't logically explain it. Horror
in the cabin
as a genre is perfect at pointing that out, because like you're supposed to be afraid of this other thing, and you're like, this don't make any sense. Where you're like, some of Get Out was also outrageous. It's because racism is outrageous.
You're
like
about Atticus and
we're about these two black people
gonna shoot
you, that was that to me.
Yeah,
that was the most pivotal scene in that first episode. Like, I mean, they literally have their guns trained on them the entire time they're in that cabin while they're getting ambushed by monsters. Like, what? Explain that. Make that make sense.
Even when his friend turned, the other cop.
Oh yeah, and he was like, "Yo, you need to shoot
still
him."
Had it trained on the black people, and you're like,
that was
your best friend is turning
That was the only scene where Atticus broke cold. The entire show, he was just, and I don't want to say being weak, but he was trying to remain calm and be respectful of the very racist police officers. Even right before them, he called himself the N-word in order to keep them safe. That was so heartbreaking to me. But then in that cabin with those officers, and that one officer was turning, they switched on him. Now it was, you need to shoot at him, and you there.
Because it makes sense. Like, that's the logical thing. Like, you're now putting, for some reason, you're prioritizing your own racism over the threat that's present at hand. Like, this is now life or death, and now you're using some fake like social construct to like,
and there was
endanger yourself, endanger everybody in that sequence. Like, you're literally about to cause all of us to die because you're racist. What? Make sense.
There was another part in that scene when they were trying to get to the car, and he offered to go, and because he didn't want Letty to go.
Yeah.
And the officer said, "No, you're too smart for your own good. You're going to get in the car and leave us," because he's thinking what he would do, and that's a common thing that a lot of white people have a problem with, is because they say, "Oh, we can't let them get all these rights because if they're going to want revenge after this." That was the biggest fear they had post-slavery, was if we free all these people, they're going to turn on us and do the same thing we did to them, because that's what they would do in that situation. Not seeing, no, we just want to be left alone, equal, just treat us with some common respect. And so that scene touched me with that, when he was like, "You're too smart. We're going to send the woman over there and run to risk her life for it." And
it's stating so many things. Because they're also saying that she's not smart enough to do that.
Yeah, that was double.
Like, what?
I don't know if I can say this on the show, but I have a theory of why white people are unable to understand things like Black Lives Matter and just the idea, like him thinking that he would leave them. Why they are so unable to understand our because they really aren't for themselves. They don't care.
I think your mic dropped out.
They don't. I was whispering. They don't care about each other. So especially like if you see examples of police brutality, some whites are ready to throw out an example of when police were brutalizing white people. But this is the first time they've ever spoken about this person.
I'm like, that's a problem.
And they're doing that to say, well, we white people did not care when this white man got killed. So why should we even care when yours got killed?
Which is the brilliance of that scene. That's the brilliance of that scene.
I'm gonna tie this back to Lovecraft, because I think what reading Lovecraft's racism sort of does is it tells you that rugged individualism is in part a justification for racism, because Lovecraft he believed in cosmicism, like the world, the universe is so big, we're so small, what we do doesn't matter, therefore you please yourself, and if pleasing yourself is the right thing, it does not matter that I am racist. And that's how he justified it. And it's the same thing that's happening in that scene, where it's like, I'm the only thing that matters. My rugged individualism is the right way to be. And I'm sure they realized it then. I'm not so sure they realize it now. We're like,
and that's a
the
white
rugged
privilege.
Individualism fuels the racism.
That is a white privilege, because they have the luxury to be focused on the individual, because when they go outside or they meet someone new, everyone sees them as an individual. They're not representing their whole race. When Black people go out and do something in public, they don't have that luxury to say, I'm just me. I'm just gonna be in a bad mood today.
Oh, that's just
because
calm.
now you're rubbing off you're basically representing your whole race every time you walk outside your house. So that individualism, they have a freedom they have a luxury to have that.
Yeah, it's a luxury and a privilege.
Just can't understand. So when people say like Black Lives Matter, they're saying, oh, they want all the black people want revenge on us for whatever reason.
That's what makes All Lives Matter so stupid. They sound like idiots when they say that nonsense because
It's not real. It's
like,
a counter protest. Like,
but even
it's
if
like
the counter protest itself don't even make sense.
They're not being genuine.
all right. Okay, so give me one example of where an All Lives Matter protest was organized when there were children being locked up in cages on the border.
Never.
If all lives matter, right?
They don't care, and that's the
None.
problem. Because I mean, the definition of all lives matter would have to mean that all lives are valuable. So for y'all,
they're not being genuine.
It's not genuine. It's a counter protest. Like it's a counter protest.
That makes zero.
They know
sense.
damn well what Black Lives Matter means.
It's like
It's not being genuine.
Because
No.
that's another issue when it comes to white, like black. They see black pride as anti-white because all white pride movements are anti-black. They are unable to understand us loving each other and
it's a
wanting
projection.
to uplift each other without putting them down because they only know how to put other people down in order to elevate themselves. They cannot elevate themselves on their own. They have to put other people down. So that's another reason as to why they don't get it.
Yep. Perfectly
In
said.
some ways, they're more broken than we are.
Yeah, they can't. It's a block there. But I think it goes back to like they're thinking, man, if someone treated me like that,
I would do this.
I would do this, that. So
I'm like, yeah, but that too is a privilege. Like, yeah, that's a luxury that we don't have.
When they think that way, they still don't acknowledge that black people are getting treated poorly.
But
But
and
at the
another
same
thing,
time, they're like, hey, I don't want to be black. Treated
another
like
thing that's not understood or is not stated that for whatever reason they don't see whatever those reasons may be, but like ever since the inception, since the colonial period, before the colonial period, so when the first slaves were brought over into the country, there were laws put in place, right, that enforced slavery, segregation, and all of those atrocities, right? Who enforced those laws?
Them.
The police. They're law enforcement. That's what they do. So you've got a 400 plus year history of brutality that was legal, that was enforced by an institution that in 1964, up until 1964, it was illegal. It was legal for them to do so. It was the law. It was their responsibility to do these things. How is it that, all right, so 1964 Civil Rights Act happens. What was done to repair the damage of that 400 plus year history between the black community and the police? So how do you not understand how we are here today?
Also, like
you think that if I've got 400 plus years of history of evidence of police brutality because it was legal, that all of a sudden in 1964, when it's no longer legal, that all of this goes away and we're good now? What? How?
Okay.
How?
Caught them in the woods.
How?
In 1964, he would still have that same mindset. Nothing would
It's
change.
institutionalized. Like to your point, it's ingrained. Like now, there's a slow and gradual process of weeding that out, but it ain't like it's gone. It's there and it's evident, and you see it. Like how you for you not to see that or to not understand or to make that connection is absurd. To lose point of racism being absurd, like that's absurd.
Yeah, so like when you talk the 1964 Civil Rights Act, piece of history, again, plug in the article, read the article. So 3 years after the 1964 Civil Rights Act was the Long Hot Summer, which is a series of riots that happened all over the nation where black people were like, no more. So the Chicago riots were 1967. I'm from Jersey. Plainfield riots was Long Hot Summer. So Johnson, who signed the Civil Rights Act, creates the Kerner Commission to try to figure out why this happened. They drop a 400-something page report. And at the core of their report, they were like, hey, the reason black people were rioting is because white racism. And racism and the abrasiveness of police behavior are essentially responsible. So this is like an official government document.
400 pages plus pages.
400 pages. And Johnson looks at that and was like, yo, that's not the conclusion I wanted y'all to have. Like, I'm going to put this off to the side.
Let's not talk about this. Like, this is no.
Which is also ironic when they do their summary page, they're like, there's 3 things going on here. 1, just because we passed the Civil Rights Act doesn't mean that racism is ended. And America will not be able to move forward until it confronts it head on, not adjunctly. Second, like Black people have had this common experience where this has been enforced legally by the urban ghetto, as they said at the time, and policing. Third, it's the only thing we're not sure about is whether or not white America has the will to face that and correct it. And then Johnson looked at it and was like, nope, guess we don't. But this is like,
I can't remember who exactly, but I think it was Dr. King, or it might have been someone else. They spoke to, I think it was Kennedy. It was before Johnson. They spoke to Kennedy, and Kennedy was asking, how are we going to fix, because there was a lot of protests going on. He said, what can we do to stop these civil rights protests? And they straight up told them, like, these are the things you need to do to stop. This is the things that we need. And he was like, nah, how can we just, you talk to your people and you tell them,
Get them in line.
you know, calm down. Like, we're giving you little wins. Like, they're giving them little tiny things, but nothing really big. And he really expected that would be enough. And that continues today. Like, we'll just give you something. You know,
that's the other thing about Black Lives Matter.
We're acknowledging that you guys are human. You should be satisfied. Like, what more? What's the problem? Well, I mean,
that's the other thing.
What else could
Black
you be
Lives
asking
Matter.
for? I don't understand.
They have a specific list of 10 policy changes they would like to ease release relations. Like, nobody talks about that. They talk about it as an abstract movement. Like, yo, there's a list. Like, you can go look it up now. It's called Campaign Zero. You can do these things.
Can I answer Gabrielle's question?
Wait, we're going to close with this question. This is our closing. So everybody's going to answer. But yeah.
Do you think America will be able to confront and actively remedy our racism during our lifetime? My answer right now is no. And back into the fact that we're having this entire conversation and having to break down what white people don't even understand about how we feel about racism. They can't even comprehend this show. So just like how we were freaking out watching Get Out and how we are feeling watching Lovecraft Country, they are not feeling what we are feeling. They're not taking it as deep as we are. So if they couldn't even process the show the same way that we do, how could we expect them to understand our reality and assist us with making changes? Because at the end of the day, like, if we want to change things right now, it's going to take change on their end. And I don't think they're capable of that change. I would love to be optimistic and say that, you know, maybe one day we could convince them, but we would literally have to flip this country upside down to make changes, because the way it is right now, it's structured to make sure that it stays the same.
I'll say I think that we can make some progress. Whether we fully get there, I don't think so. So I think there's going to be progress because, like, we've had moments in history where, like, there's been a profound chance at progress if there's follow through. Like, post-emancipation, if they follow through on Reconstruction, we're there. Post-Civil Rights Act, if they follow through on the Kerner Commission, we're there. I think we'll hit another one of those where it's like, it's a step forward. Can we go all the way? Nah. And part of that is, I think it's hard for a country to move beyond the reason that country or group was founded, and like racism is baked into the Constitution in a lot of ways. And when one of our 3 legislative branches is to sit here and interpret the Constitution, the U.S. is always going to abstractly fall back on a divided system because we abstractly wrote it in that way. Mm-hmm. And so unless we want to like take a hard look at the founding and say, we are confronted on ideals, but those ideals were selective. And so maybe these things shouldn't all the way apply anymore. I don't think we'll get there. And I think that's a lot to ask for, considering 2016 just happened not so long ago. So, progress, yeah. Keep moving forward. Don't knock progress. But like by the time I die, it's just gonna be over. Nah.
How I think will likely happen is similar to 2016 and the example I used with Kennedy. Like they're gonna give you a little wins. That would be the progress. Like they'll give you a little bit of something, a little bit of change here, but then there's always a backlash afterwards. Like Obama got elected president, and I think Trump being elected was a direct
It was a backlash
response to that. And the same thing goes with post-slavery. The KKK was formed right after slavery. The NRA was formed right
and that's
after
only
slavery.
and that's only the
Jim
most
Crow,
popularized.
vacancy,
Yeah, like there are a lot of white supremacist groups.
Lynching.
Civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s, and then you had the Black Panthers in the 70s, and then there was a huge backlash in the 80s with Ronald Reagan and his tough on war on crime. There was a huge backlash. There's always going to be a backlash when there
That
is
ebb and
progress.
flow.
So I think what happens, even at where we are now, that we're at the backlash point, and we might be coming out of it, depending on how. But it does seem like we're coming out of it, because this is like, if you remember, Black Lives Matter is not new. Black Lives Matter was around when Barack Obama was, and it was not gaining as much traction as it is now. You don't see all these big companies proudly, using Black Lives Matter slogans. Whatever that is, I know it doesn't mean a lot, but that's a huge change during the Obama era, when no one wanted to say Black Lives Matter because they feared there's going to be a backlash from the other side. So I think going forward, we're going to see some wins. We might take 3 steps forward, and might move a step or 2 steps back. But I think in our lifetime, we'll see a lot of change.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we do accept the small changes, but don't take them to pacify us. I want it to be a continual push, no matter how hard it will be. Just keep going, because that's the only way I can actually see it continuing to get to the point where it's people can just live their lives and not have to be in that fear that we see in our life. So in our lifetime, no, but I'm hoping that we keep getting that push and thinking of the people after us.
Yeah, I agree with all those points, and I will say that in our lifetime, it's a probability that it could happen. It's low, but it's not impossible. But I don't think it's probable. But the possibility is there, and I'll say that this is why culture is important, because one, each generation, the more exposure you have and that we expose people to our own culture, and the more people become comfortable with these conversations, the better and the more progress we make. We can look back throughout history and see the progress. It's gradual, but it's happening. So it's going to continue to happen as long as we will continue to voice our opinions and to use our culture and our platforms to speak our voices, because we grew up in a generation of integration, right? We've got so much cultural influence. Like the amount of exposure that we're getting is increasing on a daily basis, and we have to use that platform and use that voice to speak our truth, because everyone that is sensible, that can empathize and relate, they will. And like, that's who we have to target. Like, you can't convince anyone who is racist and has these beliefs that they're wrong. That's a losing battle. The people who just are ignorant and just completely unaware because they don't have that type of they haven't had to live that life, but can empathize and understand, that those are the ones that make the change. Because when they are exposed, they can, they see the problems, and if they want to work to fix it and help work to fix it, then they will. I think something that MLK once said, like he talked about the white moderate and how dangerous they are because they're not wanting to pick a side is what allows them the enemy to win. Because like if you're not helping us by not picking a side, like you're not helping, we're in the minority. We don't have numbers. So if you don't pick a side, then that goes to the enemy. So like if you rock with us, if you ride with us, then support us. Like that's all we ask. Like that's it. It's really that simple. And I think that we will continue. I think we just have to use the culture and the platform to continue to push our message and to make sure that we aren't silenced.
When you say culture and platform, I do actually want to shout out like the power of fiction to act as a Trojan horse. Featuring, we were just talking about Lovecraft Country. Like there are a bunch of white folk who did not give a crap about sundown towns a week ago, who are now Googling whether or not they
live in one.
Town.
Yeah,
right. Greenwood Massacre, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We all took African American experience at A&T. We all knew about that crap.
Yeah,
but like Watchmen comes out.
Watchmen exposed to a lot of people who didn't know that.
Tulsa built a monument after Watchmen came out. It was like, oh, we should put something here to recognize this happened. And
some
that
people
was
actually
TV
saw
show.
that and thought it was fiction. They like, oh yeah, that's a fictional event they made for the show.
I was mind blown.
Yeah, like we have conversations about race at a very, very early age. Like white people don't really have to have that conversation. Like that's optional. Like that's part of the privilege. Like you don't have to have a conversation about race for what? Like why?
Yeah, so
like why would you have that conversation?
You wedge it in with all this fictional stuff, then like they don't realize they're absorbing some. Like Frozen 2 was an anti-colonial movie. I never expected that out of Frozen 2, where they were like, hey yo, we know our kingdom is right there, but we're gonna have to wash this whole thing out and we want to make it right for this damn thing we did. And I was like, yo.
Yeah, and there are so many examples of Hollywood using subtext in their movies.
That was Rod Sterling's whole thing, Twilight Zone, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, like you can see examples of them using their platform to put this idea out of something that would improve society. And it's like, it's the subconscious, like mental programming, like of them trying to present an idea that is different, that is progressive, and that would help without them even knowing that that's what they're doing.
But yeah, the media is very important because they've done that. Like Disney movies are really big on children at a young age, and it shows them what to consider beauty, like with all these princesses that all look the same and stuff like that. Where a woman's place is in society, they learn all of that at a very young age. And the same thing goes with race. When they don't see black people on the screen, you don't need to really see them. You don't really need to worry about them. And when you do see them, it's like, wow, let me touch your hair. That's amazing. Stuff like that. And when you do see them sneak into the film, they're either a servant or a cook, or they have these lowly jobs, or they're there for comedic relief. They're there to entertain you.
Yeah, it's
so kids see that. And like, of course, we've all seen like the doll test with children of all races. Like kids absorb that. So when you do see new media, like with Jordan Peele's doing, and all these black films and black
Craig of the Creek on Cartoon Network, check it out.
That aren't focused on like, this is a black show, watch this. They're telling a story that just has black people in it, but you're not telling a white story and just making the character black. You're telling a story that has a black person in it from a black person's experience. And that exposes a lot to white people. Because black people see that when they watch a white film. They're like, oh, this is how white people live. That's how they're viewing it a lot of the time. And so then now you're seeing it in like this written by black people. Like, no, this is really how black people live. We have a ton of stories to have. It's not strictly the ones you've been having.
from a pop culture standpoint, you gotta understand how important it is to like, and how like monumental it is for like a white child to dress up as Black Panther. Like, think about that. Like asking for a Black Panther Halloween costume, like what? You know what I'm saying? That's different, man. That's different.
I buy costumes for Chewie, even though he hates them, and I've recently been loving the costumes where it's like just it goes on their front paws, their front legs, and their around their neck, and it looks like a person. So their legs are the character's legs, and then it has little arms attached to them. And even though they're dogs, all of the hands are white.
Mm-hmm.
All of the hands are white, and I'm like, hey yo, like they dogs on them or make them black or spotted. They're dogs. They wouldn't even have. There's no dog that's that color that the hands come. So it's
and it's about normalizing our skin tone. Really, like it's you tell a good story. It doesn't matter really what color the character is, because if you tell a good story, then people are going to be able to relate to it, and that's the most important thing. Like, if you can relate to a character, that's what's going to get you to like that character, is because you relate to it. The complexion of the skin doesn't really matter, and it shouldn't, but it at the same time, it's very important that we are seen as heroes, and we can be,
need more 200s, 300s, and 400s.
Yeah, just because one, it makes you feel good. Like it of course is going to make us feel good, but then the cultural impact that it has for white children who can look at those characters and I really love that character and like want to be that character. We've been doing that all our lives. Like, it's normal for us, and it should be normal for them. Like, it should be normal.
And the thing about stories, you don't even have to relate. Like, I understand where that character is coming from to understand the story. There's plenty of stories that we love that we have no relation to that. But if you tell a great story, you can view it because you have to have backstory. You can view it like, okay, this is why this person's like that. He's a regular person who went through these things, and now he became this, or now she became this. And so there's a lot of stories, Black stories, that white people can view and say, okay, I can't relate to that person personally, but I understand the story. And
I can understand the decisions that they make in that story. Like, I can look at the circumstance, I can look at the situation, view the decisions the character make, and go, all right, I would have done the same thing had I been in that situation. I probably would have made the same. And that's that's all it is. Yeah.
I usually give out a prompt at the end of the show for the community discussion for the next show. And I think the one that I had in mind for today is kind of silly, especially after a conversation that is so heavy in a good way. And so I think to continue the conversation for next week, we should talk about our favorite Black films, specifically ones that we think are slept on.
Okay. What's considered a Black film? Does that have to be made by a Black person?
I would say made by a Black person, has Black people in it, just Black people being Black around Black people without necessarily having to worry about whiteness. Well, that's actually not easy to do. So let me take that last bit out.
I was like,
worried about whiteness, but just a Black film that's just showcasing a Black family where, in my opinion, they're not being chased by police. They're not in a neighborhood about, around white people. It's just Black people being Black in a way that we're not really shown on TV. There's a lot of films about that, and I realize they don't get as much shine as the ones that are race-based.
Okay.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. We went over, but it was worth it. Definitely. This was a great conversation. Mark and Ebony, I appreciate you for joining us tonight. Great feedback, great input. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Join us on Discord. We're on social at Certified Gumbo. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Once again, we appreciate you all for joining us tonight. It was a great conversation, great discussion. I appreciate everybody that's on camera here today. And then everybody in the comments that, continue to support us. So that's my closing remark. Anybody else want to add anything?
Go read that article, and then join the Discord and talk to me about it.
Yeah,
Get those pre-orders in.
yeah. Get those pre-orders. $3, $2.99. But anyways, all right. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Adios.